you're unmuted.
All right, should we kick it off?
Go ahead.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Let's order the town board meeting for November 2nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. As always, this is a hybrid virtual meeting. We're operating on Zoom as well as streaming to Facebook, YouTube, and our website. If you need information to join the Zoom to participate remotely, you can find that at the top of each of our agendas. So I will ask Councilor Creasel to lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. So at the top of each of our meetings, we do open podium, an opportunity for residents to come and ask us questions, give us feedback, things like that. Do we have anyone in the audience who would like to do open podium?
Oh, my name is Dave Farnwell. I just had looked at the agenda for tonight and noticed there's some tentative changes to the budget. I know we're gonna be having a public hearing coming down, but notice that those changes are primarily to just the police department. And I would just like to say that I don't think that that is probably the wisest thing that we could do as a town. There are core services that we should be taking care of. Obviously, it's the police department, highway, fire. These are all things that we can't do without. We have cut things last year from the police department. We're doing it again this year. And if that continues, I think it runs into being a safety issue down the road. And I would think strongly of looking at other places, incentive things that we're working on at the town that could be put off for a little while to make sure that we keep those services as strong as they are for the community, our students, and all the towns and villages.
Thank you. Okay, is there anybody joining us virtually who would like to speak for open podium? If you would like to, please use the raise hand function. Do you have any attendees?
No, they're right up there. It's just Joel and Sarah, so no.
It looks like there's 2 attendees.
Oh, there is, sorry.
All right,
I'm trying to fix the broadcast, I apologize. Those are all town employees.
fantastic. Okay, so we're done with open podium. So first up, we have drainage district number 2, Muirfield Drive drainage improvement proposal for engineering services. Great presentation from Joel over at MJ Engineering.
Sure, Supervisor, this is Joel Bianchi. Can you hear me loud and clear?
Okay.
Okay. So we presented a revised proposal and presented it to Councilperson Bollinger last Friday. And that was based on a couple additional meetings we've had. And I know from discussions at the prior town board meeting, there was a discussion about putting forward a substantial amount of money to design the improvements. So we took a step back and said, let's study those improvements and determine what, an order of magnitude costs are. So this scope that the board has this evening merely looks at a study phase, an assessment, hydraulic assessment that looks at simply replacing the existing concrete vault, potentially enlarging it slightly, and then also modifying the inlet into the existing drainage system or the drainage basin. And also as an alternative, potentially slightly enlarging the open basin area, basically the open pond, and then also possibly assessing a defined outlet as part of that drainage basin. So it's really a scaled back, just a study, and then we would assess those options, come back with a cost, and present them to the town board, as well as present it to the potential affected residents within the drainage district. So that's really it. I know Supervisor of the town board members, anyone has any questions?
Yeah, so I know this is a tricky one. We don't necessarily want to bite off more than we can chew at any one point, but this is going to give us an opportunity to really figure out what options we have. And then also, I think Councilor Bollinger, correct me if I'm wrong, but the goal here is to really assess the situation and then be able to bring that to the residents in the drainage district and have a more informed conversation about what's going to happen over there.
Yes, I think the idea that we got from the discussion last time was that we needed to have a preliminary document to share with residents and then go on to design drawings after that.
That's one of the things, especially with the way our drainage districts are configured, is, these bigger projects, they're a once a year type thing, maybe once every other year type of thing, just because there's so few, well, not so few, but there's only so many people in the district. So when we make these, look at these larger projects, we have to understand that it's coming out of the district, the entire district, and it may only be servicing, a portion of that district with this work. So does anybody have any other
I
questions?
just wanted to thank Joel and Sarah and Mr. Brock too for having that review of it, because we talked about how neighbors will want to ask a lot of questions. And so this way, the study data is as fresh as it can be. So thank you.
So I would look for a motion to accept the proposal.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to accept the proposal for engineering services by engineering for drainage district number 2, Muirfield Drive drainage improvements.
I'll
And
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much, Joel.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
Well. Okay, so next up, we've got the amendments, tentative preliminary budget. We are just making sure that we're following the rules to the T to make sure that we've got these as presented and then accepted. So I'll just kind of give an overview. So, or Allison, would you be able to pull up the PDF for this?
Yes, give me 1 second,
Yeah.
please.
So this list is available on the agenda. We do have a number of ARPA projects totaling 835,000 that we're looking at. The big ones are the oil and water separator down at the highway department, the stormwater analysis, which we've had a lot of positive feedback about, some new GIS software that'll help all of our different departments get on the same modern system for GIS. And ideally, in the future, provide a couple opportunities for some forward-facing for the residents, opportunities to get a better understanding of all that information. We've got the sidewalk program, which we've had a ton of positive feedback about. Traffic calming equipment, that's another big one that we've recently heard a lot of feedback about. And I know Highway Superintendent Cushing and I went down to the neighborhood that had that accident recently, and we're trying to figure out some strategies. And it looks like, well, this is going to be, there were some other ideas about what neighborhoods might be the first, but I think this is a really good opportunity to say, hey, we got brand new equipment, let's put it here and see how that impacts it. We've got the money in there for the highway garage renovation, some preliminary work with the architect, some money in there for Skyridge Water District, the annual newsletter, which we did get some feedback about. So rather than trying to do it quarterly, we're going to be looking at doing that annually and then letting folks know how they can get it. If they liked it being mailed to them, how they can continue to get it either mailed to them or find some other place to pick that up. And then we've got $10,000 in there for some economic development tools, namely a website and working with the chamber. And then the rest of the expenditures here, a small reduction to the landscaping fund set aside. We have something that we'll be talking about a little later with salary developments. We've got for the police, we are reducing the vehicle purchase from 6 to 4. That's something that's been pretty standard for 4 or 5 years at this point. Large part of that is due to the fire budgets that we had to find some room to absorb that. We've got the CNY SBA and SPCA contract. And we made some increases to the appropriations. So I would be looking for a motion to accept those amendments. Any conversation, anything like that?
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to accept the changes to the preliminary budget.
And before I make a second, I just wanted to add that I was really glad that after our last meeting, we got some more information about the IT services and the breakdown there, because they were heavily also to benefit the police department, including some increased security measures. So, I know that it's just it's hard to prioritize, but certainly our security and our safety is number one. Thank you. I'd like to make to second the motion.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. So next up, the CNY SPCA 2023 dog control and dog cruelty contract. Do we need a motion for each contract? For the two
Yes,
contracts?
exactly, separately. And those are just, the contracts are relatively the same. Kim did look over them and have some changes made to them. Just to reflect the fact that we are gonna be in a 3-year contract now versus a 1-year, just adding some opt-out clauses for both parties. And the dollar amounts are the same.
And that was, we had a previous conversation about the increases to these contracts. So I don't know if we voted on that, but we've had that conversation previously.
It will be for the supervisor to sign.
I will make a motion to allow the town supervisor to sign the CNY SPCA 2023 dog control contract as amended by the town attorney.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next one, please.
I will make a motion for the town supervisor to sign the contract for CNY SPCA dog cruelty as amended by the town attorney.
Second that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. I will say, I know we've had a really good relationship with CNY SPCA. They definitely needed the increase this time around. For anybody who doesn't know, they provide our dog control. And so it is quite a steal considering if we wanted to provide the same services, we'd need multiple employees, equipment, benefits, everything like that. So this really is a pretty great deal. Okay, so next up, amendment to the letter of intent for Novastar.
Yep, so as you all remember, back in, I want to say June, when May, when I came to the board, we were looking to do a letter of intent for a cab and chassis. So this is basically just going to extend that to the hydraulic package all the way through Viking space. So we reached out to 3 or 4 different vendors that actually are on the county contract. This was actually the cheapest of the 3 that were on the contract. They were also willing to, as long as we did amendment to the letter to Navistar with our cab and chassis, that they'll already put us in line and start getting the equipment going. So obviously it's going to probably be 6-8 months before we can even start moving forward with it. But I think this is kind of more of the line of our future purchasing. So I guess what I need is to just to add their Viking Sedays and their price of $117 to the amended letter that we are.
So I'll move to to update the letter of intent as described by, is it accurate, $117,000?
I'll second. I'll second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. So we had the established a reserve fund for highway equipment on here. We have yet to receive, I believe, consent from the county DOT. So we basically, but we'll talk about it a little bit. So basically, anybody who's been paying attention knows that getting equipment for the highway department has become a little bit more difficult. And this reserve fund will allow us to budget money into the reserve fund specifically for highway equipment without having to budget $450,000 one year for a paver. And then if we can't get the paver, encumber the funds to the next year. So this is going to allow Rob to even really take another step forward in fleet maintenance to say that we will have a fund that has the money that we know we need over the course of the next 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And when a piece of equipment is available, if we do have some kind of failure or malfunction, or let's say we even get a little longer out of something, we've got those funds set aside so that Rob can do what he needs to do to buy that equipment when it's available, when we can, without us having to, really kind of forecast in every November to figure out what we're going to need next year. So this is going to give Rob quite a bit of flexibility. But again, we are waiting for consent from the county, so we will table that for now.
Just a reminder of that too, John, just so everyone's understanding. So no matter what, the highway superintendent still has to come to the board for approval of any of the purchases. So as you know, through our budget process, we put in usually a piece of equipment each year. So that would still be in line with that. And if there was gonna be, you know, an additional amount going in the future for like a big, large piece of equipment, that would be brought up in the probably 2 or 3 year process of the budget process. So,
Yeah.
so in other words, we would budget for something that large of an expense 2 or 3 years out.
Yeah.
On average, we've been doing about the same for the last 13 years I've been involved, as far as equipment versus cost. The increases have been about the same over the last 10 or 12 years. So that's just to keep that in mind. The only thing else I had to just 1 second, we had an email come across, I'm sure the board's seen it. A resident on Fremont Road is concerned about the speeds. I believe it's 35, and I think he wanted it changed to,
I think it's
I think it was at 30, and he wants it down to 25. Between Fremont Road and Purple Road because of the schools and the district offices and that. So I guess at this point, the board certainly can, you know, make a recommendation, send the TE9 through the state DOT. They would have to do some sort of study. Remembering that they're over a year out right now
Yeah.
doing traffic studies. There's so much.
And I think too, you know, we've heard from residents over there about the truck traffic increasing
Yeah.
over time, trying to get to the rail yard. It's, you know, it's a tough situation to be in because it's really not someplace that you would expect to see 18-wheelers kind of rolling through at 40, 45 miles an hour.
Yeah.
This is a safety thing first and foremost, but also it's a quality of life thing for those residents because I heard that it's just, you know, when the trucks come by, you can hear them. And if they're coming at a time that you need to sleep, then it's tough. So I'm hopeful that we'll be able to send this in and maybe get some feedback and
Could I recommend that it's sent in, or it is somehow there's a letter of support at some point in the process, if it's not ready for it right now, from Dr. Desiato, just making sure that we've communicated with the school district at the same time.
The particular resident was looking for an additional crosswalk or two, and or, you know, lit, highly visible lit crosswalks. So we don't, the board wouldn't have any authority over doing it. That would have to be still through the county DOT.
Yeah.
So just so everyone understands that we don't have that.
Yeah,
ability to do that.
so
But we
because
do
of-
for the speeds.
yeah.
So we have a play a part in it and being able to support part of it, but we also are in a position now where the town of DeWitt is doing certain kinds of advocacy around including us in the on-ramp and off-ramp
Yeah.
part too. And so, and we're talking with them around truck speeds related to that. So I almost think it's important to have a conversation with, or just to talk about the different things we have into the DOT together in a coordinated fashion, which
No,
I'm
it's a
sure you're
good
gonna
idea,
do.
yeah.
But I definitely want to do that, because I mean, it sounds like people want safe streets to
Yeah.
schools, and it's all.
So what I'll do then is, I have been trying to have a meeting with Supervisor McGlenn over in DeWitt, but I'll also make sure we reach out to Dr. Desiato ahead of sending this in and see if we can just get a little letter of support to say that, you know, this is something we know is a problem. We're doing what we can. This is just one of those pieces. So we'll look for a motion to allow me to sign that TE9.
I will make a motion to allow the town supervisor to sign the TE9 form for a speed study on Fremont Road between the 2 roads that the highway superintendent mentioned.
I'll second it.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
One last quick thing too, just, I know I talked to you about it, sorry, Allison. To go from the area speed limits, New York State DOT has now, you guys probably seen it on topics that it's been something they've been talking about for quite a while. Go from 30 to 25, but it still has to be done through the petition process, just like we're doing the TE9 for this. So if in fact, you know, we wanted to do that in subdivision, the town board would have the right to do that, but we have to go through that.
The same process.
Same process. And again, I think that's just gonna add to the timeline there for the DOT to come back and give us answers on these things. So just keep that in mind.
So
Feels like
it's-
we're doing it piecemeal instead of having like our own sort of like traffic comprehensive draft, you know.
Well, I mean, this is the type of thing where, you know, this is a new change and I mean, we know that speed limits are a useful way to help try to control speed, but may or may not be the most useful, especially when it's the folks that are living in the neighborhood that are doing most of the speeding. But I think in general, you know, when we've had requests for speed reductions, Generally speaking, we're very happy to send it into the DOT, and if the DOT says do it, do it. I think with the request from, 30 to 25, I think that's something that we'll want to spend a little bit more time on and really try to understand, is this something that's really gonna solve a problem?
Yeah.
Or
And
is it,
bring in your background.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of it, remember, they're doing the legwork for us. We're not paying for the engineering.
Oh, yeah.
We're not paying for the site, what I mean, so that's just something to keep in mind. When we send that T9, the state actually has to do that for us. That's it, I'm done, Allison. I mean,
Wasn't on the agenda.
Sorry.
That's all right, I have one too.
I just feel like we're all missing Allison's script for us too,
Yeah.
like
I
with
know, I'm
our,
sorry.
with our messy motion. I mean, you're the one who has to pay the price.
I think we're doing pretty good with all those.
I know, but you said from that road to that other road.
I said between the two roads he mentioned.
that's fine, that's fine.
Okay,
All right,
6
so-
and 1 have it.
Next up, the side agreement to the collective bargaining agreement with the PBA about the Juneteenth holiday. Heather, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, so we had not made Juneteenth an official holiday for our police department when it became a national holiday. And our town staff were given a day off, that, particularly this one in November 2021, right? You're talking.
Yeah, that was the
December.
first-
Yeah,
that
it's
was the
the first one. So we created, we had a series of conversations with the PBA and the police department to make sure that people were compensated for that time that they were eligible to receive. And that's what this letter is about. And it also gives us a guide for including and looking at this holiday in the upcoming next year's negotiated agreement with the PBA
Yeah.
for holidays. I think the total that it impacts the budget right now is, do we want to highlight it?
I don't know the number off the top of my
I
head.
think it was like $8,000.
First, for further clarification, this
Thank you.
mentions back to June 2022. It's my understanding that the PBA was looking for 2021 and 2022 holiday. So
Didn't they have 20? No.
No, so they were looking for it retroactive to 2021. So
Yep.
do we need to amend the,
this just says
Yeah, it just said back to June of this
retroactively
year.
for June 19th, 2022.
It was just back to June of this year in the agreement.
It was till 2021.
Okay, so that,
Yeah, it does need
the
to.
way I read it, that would be just for.
yeah,
This
so
is
we'll
here.
do that as amended.
So as amended, we were looking for a motion to include that. Oh, thank you for bringing that up.
So 2 holidays, 2 days of pay,
Yeah,
basically. That's the same year it started for the other town employees, right?
yep, so that was the,
That's-
I mean, I think
yeah,
The
they,
2021 retro total is $8,437.68. I can't quite give you the breakout for 2022. It would be similar.
Yeah, just, yeah.
Because I have Sharon prepared the holiday check and that included. in
That's
there,
why I got confused, because I saw all the 2022 and then just the 2021, so yeah, I saw those 2 numbers, okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So basically, just to make sure people at home understand too, the holidays that are observed are negotiated in this agreement. So because we had a new mandated holiday, right, that came, which is, a good thing for all the reasons it's a good thing, it forced us to drop this side letter. So when we need to do something out of contract, we need to develop these side letters. So that are side agreements. And we really appreciate the support that the police department and the chief and the PBA
Yeah.
gave to get this done.
Yeah, and this
And
came
thank
as a
you.
request from the PBA, and, we had a conversation about it, and it just made the most sense. It was the fairest thing we could do, and so just for a motion to approve it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the PDA side agreement Juneteenth letter for 2021 and to be amended to include 2022.
No, to be amended to include
To
2021.
include 2022.
2021.
It says 2022 now.
Yes.
Yes.
Great. So let me just repeat that.
I got you. I got you.
Okay.
The 2 years.
I won't forget anymore.
Thank you.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay, so pay equity study findings. So, for anybody that doesn't know, we budgeted last year to do a pay equity study amongst all the non-union employees. And we got those results June or July, I think. And so we've been working with that a little bit to understand some of the discrepancies. I think we went in with some hypotheses that the study bore out were supported. And so what we had done when we budgeted for the pay equity study, we had also budgeted about $15,000 of salary adjustments so that when we had the results of the study, we'd be able to do a retroactive pay raise. And we didn't, at the time, we didn't know. We just said that there was some amount of money to address some of the inequities we saw. And so this is kind of like step one in addressing those inequities. What we found is that a number of employees, all women, and generally speaking, these are some of the longer serving employees, did have a pretty serious discrepancy. And so this is, again, moving in the right direction to try and solve those problems. And we'll be looking again at this final budget to see how much else we can do to fix some of those issues. But when we set out to do this, we wanted to make sure that we had a system in place that was compensating people fairly for the work that they do and the value that they have to the town as a whole and directly to our residents. And so again, this is just a way to slowly start to fix that problem as best we can. So we don't have it presented, so I'll go ahead and read that out.
Before you do. Sorry, I just think people will have questions. Do you want to make sure we refer people to the information that we have about the summary of it that we can make available?
Yeah.
About the findings?
Yeah.
Because it was a study done using regression analysis and the data that we had. It was a thorough process that included job type and factors that were independent. And I think one of the things that we learned about through the process is that people were being penalized for being in jobs for a long period of time.
Yeah.
And that was really that we weren't able to keep a pace with their increases based on that length of time. It happened to be that the women were in those particular roles, but it probably wouldn't have been the same gender discrepancy if those were individuals within there. So I think that it was both factors, but it was a long time period. But we'll make that information available, right?
Yep. So just these will be so similar to the organizational meeting, we'll vote on salaries. So these are just amended salaries for the 2022 budget. And we have those monies already in the budget, so we don't need an amendment of any kind. So first up is Deputy Clerk Deborah Witzel, up to $44,032 as a salary. Deputy Clerk Lisa Beeman, $42,531. Clerk 1 Tina Galvin, $41,925. And so we have one employee who is paid in two separate areas. So typist 1 for the Receiver of Taxes Department, Sharon Lake, that's up to $20,078. Trash and Brush, Sharon Lake, $20,169. And Clerk 1 Sharon Barkowskis over at the Police Department, up to $25,18 hourly. So those are the adjustments totaling $15,000 of budget money to make those adjustments. And again, we'll be looking to see if there's something else we can do in this year's budget to continue to address those issues. But when we set out, the goal was to find out if there were problems and start to solve them. So in a perfect world, we'd be able to solve this immediately, but we're going to do our best.
But no one else is really doing this in municipal government around us right now. So I hope that we're able to, it was not a painless process because it took a lot of background work for
Yes.
Ann and Kay to basically do a huge inventory of and get lots of data from everyone. So it took also the employees taking the time to fill out information and provide that qualitative and quantitative data that we needed to do the process and make sure the integrity of it was there. And so I just really it was definitely a team effort. And also want to thank Corey Williams for working with us on it.
And to something that we've been talking about since we received the results of that study is also to develop a better system. That way, rather than a board necessarily just coming up with a number and deciding who and who does not, receive an additional bump in pay for whatever merit-based reasons. look to develop some kind of tool, a model, so that we can say, you know, if we're hiring our employees at this amount of money and they've worked here for this many years and they have this much relevant experience, and they take on these additional responsibilities, this is what they should be paid. And then the board will be able to take that number and adjust as needed, rather than leaving it up to a gut feeling, I guess you'll say.
Yeah.
Discretion.
Discretion, there you go. So I would look to look for a motion to accept those salary updates.
I would love to make the motion to update those salaries accordingly
For 2022.
for 2022.
Three.
Well, no,
No.
this is,
Oh,
so this
it's
is
not
retroactive to
Yeah,
2020.
I don't
even know what year it is anymore. There's the wrong person to do it.
I happily second that motion because it's just great to be able to do something for these town employees who do so much of the unglamorous work. And I've watched it and it's a beautiful sight. It feels good
They've
to be
been
able to do
patient.
something for them. They've been very patient with this process.
Well, and it's what they deserved all along, so we're righting it wrong.
Yeah.
Correct.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. And then we have a suggestion of the board to amend or really return to the previous clause in the handbook, section 502, medical benefits. That clause states that part-time town electeds are eligible for the health insurance program. And what we would be looking to do is to revert back to that clause and make it, and add one small addition that non or eligible electeds would not be eligible for the provision for opt-out in lieu of insurance payments, as had been done previously. More of a kind of take it or leave it. This would allow elected officials to have opportunity to get health insurance. And that would be really what we're looking to do. Any conversation about that?
I think it's important. I think ultimately that if we want people to be able to serve at all stages of life and depending on their situations, if we want to encourage people and particularly the people that are like the supervisor position and other positions, they need access to. And if we believe that healthcare is something that allows us to be the most productive we can be, it's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Could
Okay,
you
and-
clarify, John, could you clarify the split that would apply to electeds?
Yep, so for town, thank you, Ed. For that, so right now, the split is currently only in effect for the judges, but it would apply to the whole town board. It's a 50-50 split.
Thank you.
Okay, I would look for a motion to, okay, so
Yeah, what would the motion be?
to reaffirm the clause in the handbook 5.0.2.
Reinstate or?
Reinstate, I guess, yeah, for medical benefits, that part-time electeds would be eligible for health insurance, understanding that they would not be eligible for the provision of opt-out in lieu of insurance. I think this might be one of those times,
Could not
if you'd
retain
like to
that.
say so moved.
So moved.
Wait, I have questions.
Yes.
How would this work for when they're no longer on the board? Are they going to be able to continue coverage? Or like if they don't win the election or if they retire from the board?
We would no longer have access to.
So they're not going to have access to this, not even through Cobra options or?
Cobra is always an option.
Yeah.
But would not continue just like you would if you were.
Yeah, it would be 100%.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
Cobra is solid.
Yeah, so this wouldn't have long, this would only affect elected officials as they're serving.
Okay, and it's the same things about like life changes and everything.
Yep.
Apply.
For a second.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Motion carries.
You guys are amazing.
So we do have a last minute, Board and Brush has their 30-day alcohol waiver.
Yes, I typically don't break my policy of last minute amendments to the
Well, if Rob's gonna break the rules.
agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is very important to a local business, so I break the rules. Creative, I think it's Kowal Creative LLC operating as Board and Brush on Town Drive has asked for a waiver for the 30-day waiting period for a liquor license. So I would just need a motion to authorize me to send a letter waiving the 30-day waiting period for their liquor license, and the chief is okay with this as well.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you. And then we have the approval of abstract number 21.
Mr. Supervisor, I'd like to motion to approve abstract 21 in the amount of $291,559.59.
And the winner this time is Sarah?
There really isn't a big winner. It's health insurance.
So the insurance company.
Perfect.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Does anybody have anything else that we might have missed in the shuffle of week to week meetings?
Well, just encouraging everybody to get out there and make their voices heard and vote.
Oh yeah, early voting
Early
until
voting's
Sunday.
on now until November 6th, and election day is November 8th, and info about where you can vote is at onvote.net.
Vote.
Yeah, on that vote.
Oh,
Okay.
It's weird, kind of on vote.
yes, that's what threw me. My head
They have,
went-
they have their own stuff. It's helpful. I would say.
So the only thing I wanted to mention quick is that John and I met with OSIDA yesterday and had a really great conversation on Micron and how we can position ourselves strategically in the town of Manlius to take advantage of any opportunities coming to our region. And they were very excited about our comprehensive planning process. All the signs were still up, so they were looking at those, and they kept saying we were way ahead of the game than any other community, and like really applauded us. So
Yeah, we had a lot of really good feedback about how we can and should prepare, what OSIDA can do to help us. I think we got a little off, it ended up being a long meeting because it was,
Yeah.
I think it was just an exciting
well,
conversation.
there was so much to cover, and I think that sometimes it's hard for us to really understand what OSIDA can do to help. So we were like talking about all sorts of things that really.
I think we
took us
stopped at
long.
like 3 points. It's okay, wait. So what can OSIDA actually do as part of this conversation? So it was really great. We were very thankful for them to give us some of their time.
Yeah, and they said specifically that we're really, like, we're interestingly positioned because we have like Manoa in the northern part of the town, it's not too far from Clay. But that also with everything that has been announced or that will be announced all along I-90, that like coming from Chittenango side, that part of the community could see some more development, or we could choose to restrain that. Like we have the ability to take the comprehensive planning process and put it to work really at the perfect time. So it was exciting, really informative. I took a bunch of notes, so I'll circulate my messy notes, but you guys, if you have any questions, just let John or I know, because we can debrief you more.
I bet the steering committee for the comprehensive plan would love to read those or hear from you, so maybe we can talk about that. The meeting's gonna be on November 30th, right, Sarah? So, yeah.
I'd be happy to come and just give like a quick overview, because I'll be taking meetings for the rest of the month with like the chamber and the Y, and to start trying to piece together these different stakeholders and how, like what they're thinking and what we can do. So yeah, it's very exciting stuff.
Okay.
And I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
I will second.
Okay, before I call for a vote, anything else that we may have missed? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.